The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Thexnor of the Valorian Empire rose to address the assembly. His scales gleamed under the phosphorescent lights, and his triple-jointed fingers gripped the podium with barely contained excitement. "Esteemed delegates," he began, his translator converting his chittering into 1,000 languages simultaneously. "I bring grave news. The species known as humans from the planet Earth have applied for membership in our council. I urge you all to reject this application immediately." A murmur rippled through the vast chamber. Representatives from 700 civilizations shifted in their varied seats, pods, and suspension fields. "On what grounds?" demanded Councillor Zephyria, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns of curiosity. Thexnor's eyes narrowed. "3 cycles ago, my survey team visited their world. What we discovered was disturbing." He paused for effect. "These creatures are apex predators. Their eyes face forward. Hunter's eyes. They evolved by pursuing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They domesticated wolves, other apex predators, as companions. Their children play games that simulate warfare." Several delegates made sounds of concern. The Valorian continued, "But that's not the worst part. Their planet actively tries to kill them. Earth rotates through zones of extreme heat and freezing cold. Its surface is 70% water, which they cannot breathe. It experiences violent atmospheric disturbances they call hurricanes and tornadoes. The very ground beneath them shifts and splits in what they term earthquakes. Fire rains from the sky in lightning storms. Surely they hide in shelters." Someone called out. "No," Thexnor said, his voice dropping. "They thrive in it. They sail across the deadly oceans for recreation. They climb their highest mountains for sport. They've built cities on active volcanic sites and in the paths of regular flooding. When their star bombards them with radiation, they lie in it deliberately to change their skin color." The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. "There's more." Thexnor pressed on. "Their medical practices are barbaric. They poison themselves to kill diseases, hoping the poison kills the disease before it kills them. They cut each other open and rearrange their internal organs. They've survived hundreds of plagues, and each time they emerged stronger. They even deliberately inject weakened versions of deadly diseases into their young to build immunity." Councillor Zephyria's light patterns showed skepticism. "These claims seem exaggerated, Ambassador. If they're so dangerous, surely they must be technologically primitive." Thexnor's scales darkened. "They achieved spaceflight a mere 200 of their years ago. 200 years. Most species take 2,000. They went from wooden ships to breaking the light barrier in less than 500 years. They split the atom and nearly destroyed themselves, then harnessed that same power to generate energy and explore space. Perhaps they're simply lucky," another delegate suggested. "Lucky?" Thexnor's laugh was bitter. "Let me tell you about their luck. One of their spacecraft, Apollo 13, suffered a catastrophic failure halfway to their moon. By all calculations, the crew should have died in the void. Instead, they used duct tape, a primitive adhesive strip, and spare parts to jury-rig a solution. They did calculations by hand, rationed their oxygen, and flew their crippled vessel home. All 3 survived. The chamber had gone quiet again. "They have a saying," Thexnor continued. "Necessity is the mother of invention. When faced with extinction, they don't accept fate. They innovate. They adapt. They refuse to die. During a global pandemic in their 21st century, they developed multiple vaccines in less than a year, a process that takes most species decades. But surely," Zephyria interjected, "this makes them valuable allies? Resourceful friends?" Thexnor's tail lashed in agitation. "You don't understand. Humans don't just survive, they conquer. They looked at the void of space, which terrifies most species, and called it the final frontier. They sent messages to the stars before they even knew if anyone was listening. They built telescopes to stare at the universe and weren't afraid of what might stare back." He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. "This world has tried to kill them for millions of years with ice ages, meteor strikes, supervolcanoes, and predators with claws and fangs. Humanity looked at all of that and said, no, they didn't just survive Earth, they dominated it. What do you propose?" asked an elder counselor, his ancient voice carrying the weight of 10,000 years. "Rejection, containment, observation from a safe distance. Humans are relentless, curious, and they pack bond with anything, including their enemies. They've made pets of creatures that once hunted them. They feel empathy for machines. If we allow them into the council, within a generation they'll have befriended half the delegates and begun solving problems we've struggled with for millennia. And this is bad? Zephyria asked. It's terrifying, Thexnor said quietly. Because once they're here, once they're part of our community, there will be no force in the galaxy that can stand against us. And eventually they'll lead us. Not through conquest, but through sheer, stubborn, impossible refusal to accept that anything is truly impossible. The vote was called. The human application was rejected by a narrow margin. Thexnor left the chamber believing he'd saved the galaxy from a terrible risk. What he didn't know was that his warning had been recorded, translated, and transmitted. The message traveled through the cosmos on quantum channels and encrypted frequencies. It never reached Earth. It never reached the Council's official archives. Thexnor had tried to tell the truth about humanity, their danger, their resilience, their terrifying potential. He'd told everyone who mattered, and in the vast political machinery of the Galactic Council, where 700 voices competed for attention, where crises and concerns were filed and forgotten in endless bureaucratic depths, his warning simply became noise nobody heard. But in the silence of space, humanity continued building, exploring, and reaching for the stars, unaware of the fear they inspired, unconcerned with the politics of distant councils. They had a universe to discover. And nothing, not rejection, not fear, not even the truth told about them, would slow them down.